In reference to the criticism surrounding the letter sent by the Indian embassy to the Nepal government demanding to test the pesticide residues in imported fruits and vegetables at the border with India, government spokesperson Gokul Baskota has termed the exchange of letters between the governments of any two countries as natural. Minister Baskota's remark comes as an attempt to settle the controversy surrounding the letter that many have taken as the southern neighbor putting pressure on the government. Good morning, I'm Amit Bakarel and let's begin with the top stories this hour. Government calls for emergency cabinet meeting following disputes between departmental ministries regarding infrastructures for pesticide tests on imported fruits and vegetables. More than 100 billion rupees of foreign aid brought in by INGOs without the knowledge of the government. Weak government mechanism results in the lack of financial transparency. Relations between US and UK turns more tense owing to the ambassador issue. British Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt terms US President of being disrespectful. And the first semi-final of the ICC World Cup between India and New Zealand interrupted by rain. The match to resume this afternoon. Let's begin with the national political updates. Government's spokesperson Gokul Baskota has termed the exchange of letters between the governments of any two countries as natural in reference to the criticism surrounding the letter sent by the Indian embassy to the Nepal government demanding the test of pesticide residues in imported fruits and vegetables at the border be stopped. An emergency cabinet meeting was called yesterday following the letter that went public, which had the directive of not stopping the import of fruits and vegetables from India. The government held an emergency cabinet meeting after a row between departmental ministries regarding the controversy surrounding the pesticide residue test on the import of fruits and vegetables. Meanwhile, Baskota stated that the government would not come under any influence through such letters. Meanwhile, at the parliamentary party meeting held last Saturday, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had claimed that the government had not received any letter from India with a directive to stop the pesticide residue test. However, the Indian embassy in Kathmandu had sent a letter addressing to the Ministry for Foreign Affairs on 29th of June, which was made public only on the earlier day. Meanwhile, on 4th of July, the government had decided to postpone the pesticide residue test due to the lack of infrastructures to carry out the test. Minister of Agriculture Chakrapani Khanal and Minister of Industry, Commerce and Supplies Maltrika Prasad Yadav had made conflicting statements regarding the availability of infrastructures for carrying out such assessments. Lawmakers from the ruling Nepal Communist Party themselves have protested against the government's decision to hold the assessments. Meanwhile, on behalf of All Nepal Peasants Federation, Nepal Communist Party leader Bamdev Gautam issued a press release expressing objection towards the Indian embassy putting pressure on the government to hold the assessments as against diplomatic norms. The main opposition party, Nepali Congress and Rashtriya Janata Party, Nepal, have obstructed the session of the House of Representatives in protest of the Sarlahi incident. Lawmakers from the main opposition, Nepali Congress and Rashtriya Janata Party, Nepal, obstructed the session yesterday, citing Home Minister Ram Bahadur Thapa's clarifications regarding the deaths of Netra Bikram Chand's district leader for Sarlahi, Kumar Paudel and Saroj Narayan Yadav were not convincing. Home Minister Thapa had earlier stated that Yadav died during a demonstration as the police fired bullets into the air to clear the roads. Yadav died after being shot during a demonstration staged a month earlier to protest against the death of Amit Kumar Shah, who died after falling into a sand pit. Lawmakers of the opposition demanded the parliament to form a committee to investigate on the case, as the lawmakers, in their own words, did not find Home Minister Thapa's clarifications convincing. Opposition lawmakers questioned how Yadav could have been shot in the head when the police had fired in the air. After the opposition lawmakers continued obstructing the session, Speaker Krishna Bahadur Maharaj stated that an inter-party discussion should be carried out in regards to form the committee to investigate on the case. However, opposition lawmakers encircled the rostrum before the Speaker could finish. The session was held for 15 minutes. At first, however, as an agreement could not be reached, the session was postponed till today. It has been revealed that majority of the international non-governmental organizations or INGOs have been bringing in large sums of money without the knowledge of the government. Based on government data, in the past 3 years, INGOs have brought in 95 billion rupees more amount of money than agreed with the Social Welfare Council, while around more than 100 million rupees has entered the country, which is not available in the records of Finance Ministry. Meanwhile, none of the concerned authorities have carried out necessary investigations despite such a large sum entering the country without the knowledge of the government network in the name of foreign aid. Based on government rule, it is mandatory for every INGO to take an approval from the Social Welfare Council to use the aid money. It is illegal to bring in any additional amount than what is agreed with the Council, and INGOs are also required to submit the expense records at the Finance Ministry. However, in the past 3 years, INGOs have only submitted records of transactions worth 51.87 billion rupees at the Finance Ministry, while the approval taken from the Council was for 58.58 billion rupees. The records of 7.5 billion rupees has been missing. To one's surprise, the government has found out 28 of the INGOs' accounts have brought in more than 153 billion rupees. The amount is 101 billion rupees more than the amount agreed with the Finance Ministry and 95 billion rupees more than what was agreed with the Social Welfare Council. Meanwhile, the authority responsible of keeping a check on foreign aids has remained a mere spectator. Social activists have opined that the government should probe into the additional amount brought in without the knowledge of the government and implement a one-door policy for foreign aids. There are around 100,000 non-governmental organizations operating across the country. Analysts have attributed the state's weak monitoring mechanism as the reason for the lack of transparency. In order to deal with the lack of discipline seen in the finances in the social sector, it is imperative on the part of the government to make sure these organizations maintain financial transparency. According to the government statistics, the area covered by forest in Nepal has increased to 45%. The Nepal government should have exported timber. However, the country imports timber worth more than 6 billion rupees annually due to the lack of proper policies. According to the statistics provided by the Customs Department, Nepal imported timber worth 6.04 billion rupees last year from India, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, among other countries. At a time when the government and the general public have not been able to take much advantage of the forest in the country, a certain number of businessmen and employees of the Ministry of Forest have been reaping unnecessary benefits. The hassles created by the government in the process of felling trees is the main reason for this. The government should not discourage industries that are dependent on forest in the name of conservation, but it should strictly implement the policy of planting 10 trees while felling one to increase the country's forest area, which would contribute to the economy of the country. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the public of the Eastern District of Sunsari District what measures have the provincial government and the local level government there adapted in to minimize the damages of natural calamities like landslides and floods. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
मेला देखाउने थियो र अहिले पनि केही बितेको छैन समन्वय गरेर अहिले सबै खोलानाला सफा गरौ भने त्यस्तो क्षति हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्दैन
देख्ने गरी अहिले सम्म चाहिँ थाहा पाउने गरी हामीले त्यो महसुस गरेका छैनौं मलाई लाग्छ 3-4 दिन मात्र कन्टिन्यू पानी पर्यो त्यो भन्दा पता हुने चाहिँ हामीले
एक बुढी खोलामा दर्जनौ मान्छेको बगाएर लगेको थियो मान्छे मरे तर अहिले सन् त्यहाँ छैन तर अहिले असारे यो विकास बजेटमा चाहिँ त्यहाँ ढुङ्गा हाल्दै गरेको देखेँ
त्यो खोलानालाहरू सरसफाई गर्ने कार्यक्रम अहिले सम्म स्थानीय तौरबाट भएको मलाई चाहिँ जानकारी भएको छैन
तदारकताका साथ लाग्नुपर्ने खोला सरसफाई गर्नुपर्ने हैन यहाँका चाहिँ अब ढल निकासहरुको चाहिँ नियन्त्रण गर्नुपर्ने त्यो कुनै पनि त्यस्तो खालको कामहरु मैले भइरहेको देखिरहेको छैन
It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is what to say on the import of timber when there are enough forests in the country. And options are A. Impractical policy, B. Sensitivity in conservation, and C. Effect of open market. The voting is on. Type NWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. It is now time for the special segment, Laugh Out Loud.
Two of the leading leaders from Nepalese politics, Pushpakamal Dahal and Baburam Bhattarai, were engaged in an interesting verbal volley on 2nd of July, which occupied significant space in the social media. Co-chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, Pushpakamal Dahal, while welcoming some leaders into the party, opined that his party also needed the services and intellect of his longtime friend Bavaram Vatrai, who is currently the joint chairman of the Samajwadi Party. Vatrai also responded, but with a tinge of sarcasm on Twitter, citing that if NCP needed any other person as intellectual think tank, there was no better person than gangster-turned-politician Deepak Manange, indicating lawmaker Manange's recent entry into the ruling party.
And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news and entertainment. Have a good day.